Gun. Welcome, everybody, to the Very Funny Podcast. Come on in, make yourselves comfortable, sit on down. We have an incredible episode today, so I don't want you guys to miss out. And I'm going to be making sure in the few seconds that we're here together right now, until you guys all climb aboard, that everything is streaming perfect. Perfect. Nice, Nemr, with the advanced English. Let's take a look at our Twitch channel. What's up? Nakhli, right on point. Making sure Twitch, all options are available. No, they aren't. We must restart Twitch. God damn it, Twitch. You do this to me every time. God damn it. All right, everybody, join us. Come on in. Facebook, YouTube. Hello, everybody. Hey, Kinza. Hey, Hanadi. Australia, Jason, Steve with us today. Zakaria Haboob, Rachel Freha, Tony Dahir. Welcome, everybody. Come on down. Make yourselves comfortable. We're about to start the show. So I hope you guys are excited because let me tell you, I sure as hell am. We have special guests today with us, Maz Jobrani. So, and Twitch is working. Everything is working. I'm going to start with some guitar today. So that's why I have this double view that you guys can see right here, I think, right? Do I have it up? No, I don't. Here it is. There we go. Look at that. Look what I did. I did a thing. So we can add our guitar in the beginning of the show. You know what I'm saying? Where are your chat? Oh, I don't have the chat overlaid? That sucks. That's an oversight on my part. Let me go ahead and bring that in so that we can do that. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Chat overlay coming in while you guys make yourselves comfortable. Boom. We're going to go back to the main thing. Show the chat right here. There's the chat thing. Let's go ahead and... how do we copy this? Duplicate it. Let's put it out here. Show in all scenes. I like that. We're going to do it like that. Then we'll go to guitar. Haha! It worked! Hey, from Chicago. What's going on, man? How you guys doing? Amalia, how's it going? I thought we'd start with some tunes while you all get situated. You know what I'm saying? Hello from Nizar Fakir from Los Angeles. How you doing, Ryan Hamdan, everybody from Doha? We're going to put some music on, man, while you guys get situated. Make yourselves comfortable. People pouring in from everywhere. Cleveland Maestro, how's it going, man? Come on in, I'm just going to play a bit of a tune. We got a different song at the end coming out. Jason Steve, my man. Ayman Salim, San Diego. Come on in, man. Camelia Farah, good to see you. Venezia, Italy. We got somebody with us today. Fantastic. Yaman Sharaf the Bach, how's it going? Robin Scuff, Nakhli, love from Russia, Ali Rahman. Amazing, man. Montasim Raikat from Detroit, welcome. Lens Flare Smith, how's it going? My sister, song slaps, indeed it does. We're about to start, everybody get seated. Joined by Maz Jobrani today, man. UAE, Andrew Najim. How's it going? Rasha Abu Hassan. Ahmed Faris. Welcome, man. From London, we got everybody here, man. You guys ready to start the show? Let's go. You got it, man. We're going to start the show right now. I'm very excited, dude. Very excited to be with you all today. We got a great show today with none other than Maz Jobrani. Also, at the end of the show, we're going to be jamming out to a bit of a different tune. We got this tune coming up at the end of the show today, so I don't want you guys to miss out on that. We're going to have some nice tunes as well on this one. I'm not gonna play now, though. That's coming up later. So just so you guys know what to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? Let's put the guitar on the side. Let's get the show started today. Welcome, everybody from all over the world. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited, too. We got special guest Maz Jobrani today, a very good friend of mine, comedy legend. He's known around the world for his stand-up, whether it's in the Middle East, in Europe, or in America, or probably in Australia. Honestly, I think he's one of the most famous comedians in the world, international comic, and one of the funniest dudes ever. So we're going to be talking to him today. He's going to be joining us in just about 25 minutes. So stay tuned. For those of you who are tuning in with us for the first time, I know that we got a few new people with us today who came over from Boogie2988's interview, the last one that we did. Boogie2988, I want to give a quick thank you to him for pulling a major bro move. He went and posted a highlight from our interview on his YouTube channel. He has over 4.5 million followers, or subscribers rather, on YouTube, and over 100,000 on Instagram. And the guy posted up our interview just for the hell of it, which I thought was, honestly, I'm telling you, like, it was a major, major bro move on his part. So I know we got some of his people who are... There we go. Sorry about that. I accidentally unplugged something. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the way this podcast works, I put that in between parentheses because honestly speaking, we don't follow a traditional podcast format. The way that it works here is I start off with a monologue for about the first 20-25 minutes after I welcome everybody onto the stream, and then we bring in our special guest, and right after that we take callers. So that's the number right there. There's an application called WhatsApp. You guys are going to need to add me on WhatsApp so that you can see all of the notifications, that you can get notifications from me, and that you can call on the show. We only take phone calls on WhatsApp as an application. So go ahead and join the WhatsApp thing. You can talk directly to me. It's literally this phone. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, Nemr, is your phone, is it really you who's replying? I'm self-isolated this quarantine, this entire show. It's just me. There's nobody else here. We're doing everything on our own. And I'm very happy to reply to you guys here. It's old school. I got it connected via a cable. You know what I'm saying? And there you go. There are all your people sending me messages right now. Those are the broadcasts I just sent out to let people know that we're going live. And I still have a bunch of messages to reply to. But as you can tell, there's a bunch that I do reply. You'll get voice notes from me and everything. So be sure to add me here. It's a lot of fun to connect with you guys. So once again, thanks to Boogie for supporting the podcast, the Very Funny Podcast. Today, I want to start off my monologue, so to speak, by talking about something that's very near and dear to me, and that's kind of where we belong in this world. So, and Nader Jafal is here, and my girlfriend is also in the comments. Nader is one of my best friends and my agent in the Middle East. So that means that both him and I are unemployed, which is fantastic. Shout out to Nader Jafal. My girlfriend's also here, Vanessa. How's it going, babe? Taking long distance to a quarantined level, which is fun. I do want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is our relationship with where we're from. And it ties into our guest today, Maz, who's originally Persian, Iranian, and how you find yourself in the world. It's a weird place that we live in right now, the world. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a bizarre existence, because today we live in a world where if you went back 100 years ago, where you're from would play a much more significant role in where you're going in life. But with like globalization and everything, it's not anymore so persistent. Okay, let me give you an example. I grew up in Lebanon. Ralphix, thanks for the follow, and thanks for reminding me that I need to turn off the notifications for that sound. Dude, every time that thing comes up, it scares the living shit out of me. So yeah, I was born in Lebanon and Beirut, but when I was like a year and a half, 2 years old, came to America, grew up in San Diego. And then when I was 10 years old, went from San Diego back to Lebanon. So my parents took us from war-torn Beirut in 84, something like that, came to beautiful San Diego. I always joke about, I basically on stage when I tell this story, I say, when I was 10 years old, we went back to Beirut where it's safe. And everybody laughs about that. And I'm like, no, San Diego's very dangerous. There's beaches and oceans. You could drown. But the honest thing is in Lebanon, there's beaches as well. It's just, my parents are ethnic parents. And ethnic parents believe that the only way to be raised is amongst your people. You understand? Like you cannot, these American, very nice people, but they are not, they don't eat food, too much fat. We have better food. Back in Lebanon, we have good olive oil, Mediterranean, hummus. It's very good. Also American, they are very, they don't talk to their parents. That was my parents' biggest fear, was that we would grow up. Apparently, the stereotype was that Americans don't talk to their, which is absurd. But the stereotype is that Americans don't talk to their parents. And it was based on our neighbor. So we had a neighbor called Kathy in San Diego, and her kids never checked in on her. Like, never. So my parents were like, if our children grow up in United States of America, they will not love their children, their parents. They will only talk to us on Thanksgiving. This is by the way, my parents don't sound anything like this, but it's not funny if I talk like my... On Thanksgiving, they will only call once, and then only when they want money, they will call. Then they will be drug addict. So basically my parents were like, we need to take them back to Beirut. Why? Because the war ended in 1990. I don't know if the killing ended in like 1991, 90, from a 30-year civil war. And then my parents were like, great, everything's going to be fine. Civil war, 25, 30 years, people murdering each other in the streets. Now that it's over, I'm sure nobody has any hard feelings. So we went back to Lebanon. And at the time, it was awkward, man. Because 2 weeks ago, Muslims and Christians and Jews and everybody was killing each other. And now they were all friends again. So they were like, hey, I'm sorry I killed your family. Would you like some coffee? And then everybody just kind of moved on. And it was a culture shock. I went from San Diego, my school in San Diego, my public school that I used to go to, had an ocean view. My public school was like, you'd walk in there as a child and it was childhood in that school. You feel me? Like everything about that school was just like beautiful. Like they had heaters and air conditioners in the classes. They had basketballs that they could give out to people, playgrounds, and then this beautiful, huge, massive football field and a view of the ocean, and you could frolic as a child. It was a frolicking school. I don't know if any of you know what frolic means. Let me get you the definition for frolic, just the exact definition. Frolic is to play and move about cheerfully, excitedly, or energetically. Okay, so you could frolic as a child. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Sound of Music, but when she's in the field and she goes, the hills are alive with the sound of music, and she's spinning, that's frolicking. You could frolic in San Diego. You can't frolic in Beirut. You know what I'm saying? You can't frolic. You can dive for cover, right? You can't be like, and the hills are, and you get what I'm saying? That was during the Civil War. Now that the Civil War is over, back to Lebanon. And my dad used to always tell me, this Lebanon, look, what great country. I remember we were getting bombed. I've been through 9 wars or something in Lebanon. I've been there since 1992. We're getting bombed. I think it was in 2006. There's a war going on in Lebanon that we have nothing to do with. None of the wars in Lebanon, by the way, have anything to do with Lebanese people. We just sit at home and wait for the war to finish. So I'm sitting at home playing SNK versus Capcom on the PlayStation 2, which is a fighting game, with my best friend George Mortanius, who's in the chat section. And we're sitting and playing together. And the biggest inconvenience of the war was when a bomb would drop and the electricity would cut and we'd be like, son of a... because we didn't save. Anyways... My father once points out the balcony, this huge explosion goes off. The highway next to our house is bombed. Civilians are murdered. And my dad's standing there and he's pointing at where the explosion just went off. And he's like, they don't have, you see, there is nothing like this in America. Here in Lebanon, you see it. In America, only movies. As if it was a positive thing. To which I had this very popular stand-up comedy bit at the time where I used to say my dad, like, Arab parents are so gangster that they would, they brag about like how bad they had it. They compete over who had it worse. Like if you're an Arab kid or really any ethnic kid, your parents, you'll compete with your friends over who used to get beat harder by your parents. Like you have people who used to be like, my father used to beat me with the branch of the tree. And then another guy would be like, my father used to beat me with the tree. And then the third guy would be like, my father is the tree. So you'd have like, people would compete over who had it worse. So my dad would like talk about the view on the war like it was something incredible. Like he'd call his friend up who lived in Beirut. We lived in an area called Kisirwin. He'd call his friend up and brag about the view that he had on the war. And this was a very popular comedy bit. But this is how Lebanese people deal with very horrifying situations, is with comedy. And my dad would call his friend up. A bomb would have gone off close to his neighborhood. My dad would call him up to make sure he's good. And then he would brag about the view. My dad would troll his friend who almost just died by bragging that his view is better because my dad's friend was in the thick of it at that explosion. So he couldn't really see it. He could just hear it. But my dad was like, you know, I'm going to say this part in Arabic, then I'll translate it. He'd be like, يا زلمة عندي منظر على الحرب بس تنزل القنبلة كأنه نزلت عندك يا شيخ شي فظيع. And he was basically saying in English, he'd be like, I have a view of the war. When the bomb goes down in Beirut, it's as if it came down on my house. It's incredible view. Like it's that good of a view. So I grew up in those conditions. I went from San Diego, from frolicking in the playgrounds of San Diego to surviving in Lebanon. And here's the crazy bit. From living in these two places, I believe I became a much better person. I think that as human beings, the world we live in now needs to be treated differently. It used to be like, where are you from? I think we should change things to where are you going? Because you owe it to yourself. And I'm Lebanese, which means I'm a descendant of the Phoenicians. And there are these racist Arabs that say, we're not Arab, we're Phoenician, which is the funniest shit ever. But I'm a descendant of the Phoenicians who are very famous for traveling the world. The first people to discover the United States of America as we know it today were the Phoenicians, thousands of years before Christopher Columbus came, traded with the Native American Indians, and bounced. The first marine insurance policy, 3600 BC, the Phoenician, like it's an insane history of going out into the world and discovering stuff. So I kind of feel like genetically Lebanese people kind of carry that with them, but it is a great way to live. This world is so incredible that imagine you just live in one place. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can, you need to go and experience other stuff, because what happens is through dueling perspectives, you become a better human being. I grew up in America. Perspective of yes, it was peaceful, and according to my parents, it's not good over here. How can they be ready for the real world? Everything is given to them. They were seeing that as a negative. My parents saw the fact that everything is given to you in America as a negative. How messed up are you that you as a parent feel concerned that because your children have everything taken care of for them, that means they're not going to be the best that they can be? I think that's a hilarious perspective, but it's a very good one, because my parents really believed that the world is a horrifying place, which it is. And they were afraid that we would grow up soft, and they wanted to give us world experience. So they brought us to Lebanon so we could live through wars, so we could be better people. Basically, they brought us under the threat of war so that we may be better at life. They wanted us to live in the threat of death so that we may be better at living. And what's interesting about that and insane is the fact that when I was in America, I fell in love with reading. I fell in love with playing. I fell in love with imagination because I had the stability to enjoy those. I could pick up a book a comic book. I could sit in color. There was no situation of anxiety in the house. There was no pressure. There was no deadline, no impending doom that was looming that you had to get shit done before it came or else everything could be lost. Then when I came to Lebanon, that flipped around because it was always like you didn't know what the next day would hold. And there's a popular saying, which is, if God willing, everybody says God willing, no matter what. Okay, I'll see you next week, God willing, because nobody really knows if we're going to be around next week. Had I not grown up in America, I wouldn't have fallen in love with stand-up comedy. I wouldn't have fallen in love with reading. I wouldn't have fallen in love with a lot of the things that make me the man who I am today. But had I not also grown up in Lebanon, I wouldn't have fallen in love with positivity, with life. I wouldn't have been so against negative energy, and I wouldn't have understood the true potential of a human being had I not lived there. But had I lived in either one exclusively, I would have been a lacking human being, I believe. So really, when you get to experience more than one culture, that's why traveling is so important. But if you can live in more than one place, you can really grow as a human being. Now, I'm not saying you should go find a place where you're going to get bombed. But I mean, it was the bomb. It was awesome, man. Lebanon was incredible. The experiences I had but that's because I lived. I have friends who didn't live. Not incredible for them or their families. Didn't die in war as soldiers. Died indiscriminately by one country attacking another country in our country. And growing up with that as a kid made me realize how important it is to control narrative. Because a lot of what happens in the world, a lot of life is lost in this world because of narrative. Because there's an incorrect narrative going on. If you can control a narrative, you can invade another country and put people on your side by getting them to convinced of what you're saying. Narrative is the most powerful weapon that we have. It's the most dangerous thing today. And I lost friends because of narrative, man. There was a combination of words that I know could have been put together that could have saved lives. That's what I love about stand-up so much. It's the art of wordsmithing. There's rhythm, pacing, everything to get your point across. But if you're not funny, if you're not entertaining, people aren't going to listen to you. And I think life, it's interesting how powerful charisma can be. In terms of like public speaking, you can really do things. So I think I really became obsessed with that because when you lose friends to situations, and the worst part is after the situation, it wasn't just war. I've lost friends to like bad roads back home in Lebanon. Somebody's driving really fast and there's a fucking pothole in the middle of the road. Goes in, tire busts out, spins out of control. Now the guy you were just talking to 10 minutes ago, gone. Your best friend, dead. And after the fact, you can't say shit about it. Because if you say anything about it, you're attacking the government, which you can't do. Because the government is supposed to be, you're supposed to be there for the government. That fury, that rage when I was a young kid, where I'd look at people, I'm like, he died. The guy died. I can't criticize the government. The guy died and they're like, look, they didn't do it on purpose. It could have happened to anyone. It was his time. God wanted him back. Fuck no. God was up there going, you motherfuckers. I gave you science, technology, understanding, the whole deal. Asphalt. These are the roads you build. Do I need to get involved in your goddamn roads? I am God. I have better shit to do than to sit down. I mean, he's busy. She's busy. He, she, say, attack helicopter, anything in between. They're busy. They're not going to deal with the road. But you get it. You excuse it because it's a status quo. Then you come to America, man, and it's different. Government works for you. But what do they do to be able to control the people? They change the narrative. Whereas in Lebanon, they don't change the narrative. They don't give a shit about the narrative and optics and whatever that is. They just pay people off. It's a mafia mentality versus a narrative mentality. And in between, I found out that narrative is the most powerful weapon that you can have. Because if there's a mafia mentality, but you control the narrative, you can overcome that. And if there's a narrative mentality, you have to overcome the narrative. But no narrative can be overcome by brute tactics. If you control the narrative and somebody attacks you, then you've become stronger. That's all you need to know. You know, the pen is mightier than the sword, unless, of course, you're fighting somebody with a sword and you're armed with a pen, then you're fucked. But the point of it is that if you know how to talk, if you're an orator, You can actually do a lot better. I came to discover that through living in a war-torn country and in a beautiful country that has no war. Both beautiful countries. One under threat, one not. So, I look at times like these and I count my blessings. I'm alive. That's my American Language Center background coming in. I'm alive. I'm healthy. The people I love are alive and healthy, and I've lost people in the past that I wish I didn't lose. But if there is a God and people believe that everything happens for a purpose, I would take away from that the purpose was for me to wake up and realize you could do more. So I invite you all to think about that, to think about what you could do and what you could gain by looking from the outside in. If you're in America, look from the outside in. Go somewhere else and turn around. If you're in the Middle East, do the same. You're in Australia, do the same. Also, I'd like to take this moment to ask all Lebanese Australians to please go to a doctor and get rid of the lahmiye in their nose. I don't know what it is about who was the first ancestor that emigrated from Lebanon to Australia, from which village this man was from, that has the most virile masculinity, that his genetics have been passed down. Everybody in Australia speaks with something called a lahmiya. It's like a deviated septum. I don't know what you would call it. It's just like they have a clogged nose. So they're always breathing from their mouth. And I've noticed this a lot. And like, hey, oh, mate. It's like there's none of this, And they speak from like ancient Lebanese dialect, like Zotir. And it's like a very weird. So please go see a doctor. That's what I want to end on, is that you got to get rid of it. And they always want to fight Lebanese Australians. They always want to fight. What are you looking at, bro? What are you looking at? From Australia, man. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? And you're like, I'm not even I wasn't even looking at you. I was looking in your direction. You want to fight? Oh, mate, you want to fight? It's like, and all from the mouth. I love Australians. I think they're the most passionate people maybe on the planet. I'm talking about Lebanese Australians, the men, obviously not the women. Get your noses checked. Get that shit removed. That's all I'm saying. Reverse engineer. We got to do it, okay? Zotir. All right. That ends my rant for the day. Now, you might be wondering, Nemr, special guest Maz Jobrani, why are you talking about where you're from and how you grow by your experiences? He's a comedian. He controls narrative. And his government isn't that hot either. He's from Iran. So, and he grew up in America. We have kind of similar stories. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest in right now. And I hope you guys are excited for that. The one, the only Maz Jobrani. Let me just do something right here. Bring this over there. Boom. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and call him on the Skypes. That's how I feel like a parent. When I become a dad, I'm going to say things like that. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, we're gonna make a call on the Skypes. My dad used to infuriate me. He kept saying all the time when I was growing up, he's like, turn on the TV, which meant the computer. I'm like, Dad, it's a computer. Be like, turn off the TV. Let's see if he's gonna answer. Okay, now it says he's calling me. So let's do that again. Hold on. Here we go. And call. I hate...
Hey.
Maz, how's it going, my man?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Happy Cinco de Mayo, my friend.
And by the way, yes, it is. Happy Cinco de Mayo. As two Mexicans, you and I, we should be celebrating.
A couple of Mexicans from the Middle East.
How are you, my friend?
I'm well. How are you, man?
I'm doing so well. You look good, man. I like the...
Are we on live right now?
Yeah, you're live.
I'm on?
Yeah, you're on. Everybody's shouting in the comment section.
Oh, my God.
Everybody, the one and only Maz.
Oh, my God. Let me get my hair.
I have somebody in the comment section saying the one and only Maz, one opportunity, two opportunity, upper opportunity. I don't know if you... One of my favorite jokes for you, by the way, by far.
Bro, isn't it amazing? Because I think, how many years you been doing this?
I've been doing stand-up
Like stand up, not this. Yeah.
21 years almost now.
Yeah, I've been doing it 21, almost 22 years. And it's interesting because throughout your lifetime of doing it, you do jokes. And of course, you retire those jokes and you go on to other jokes. But every once in a while, someone will throw something out at you like what you just did. And you're like, oh my God, one opportunity, two opportunity, upper opportunity. Oh my God, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's kind of endearing that you can put something out into the universe and it can, and I think when people remember it, it kind of changes. This is how I put it. People tell me like, how would you define stand-up? I've always said it's like world creation, because if you're a successful comic, if when people come and watch you, they become a part of your world, and then when they leave, their world is never the same. You know, would you agree with that?
That's a good point. Yeah, yeah. I feel like we're like mini cult leaders. You've got your own cult, and you know how that is, because what happens is, look, and there's different sizes, right? You got guys like Kevin Hart or Joe Rogan or some of these other guys whose cults have grown to be huge. But you know how it is, because you can be on one side of the street and your fans are going to come, oh my God, Nemr, oh my God. And they're like excited and they're quoting you, and they got your t-shirt and they got posters, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, I'm not that excited about myself. And I don't know anyone, like I've never had anyone be that excited about me, you know, but you're definitely overreacting to me being here. But in their mind, they love what you do and they're supporting you, which is fantastic. You walk on the other side of the street and nobody knows who you are.
Yeah,
and so it's like a cult. Like on one side, it's a cult, the other side. And it's interesting because, you know, once in a while, I became a fan of comedy because of Eddie Murphy. So to this day, sorry, there's a helicopter going over my head.
No worries.
To this day, yeah, people in Beirut, you're used to that.
They're looking out their windows going like, are they back? Are they back?
Yeah. But no, to this day, I will say something or hear something, and I'm quoting Eddie Murphy from Delirious, and it's in my head. I'm in the Eddie Murphy cult. So yeah, it's like a little cult that we have, and as you said, it changes your life. And I think, at least for me as a fan, I don't know how it is as people that like this guy just said, one opportunity, two opportunity. For me as a fan of Eddie Murphy's, when I say something that's a quote from one of his specials, it puts a smile on my face, you know? Yeah. So like, you know, if you remember Delirious, Goonie Goo Goo, that was his whole thing of like, his Aunt Bunny being a Bigfoot, and he thought it was Spanish. He's going around saying Goonie Goo Goo. And so to this day, when I say Goonie Goo Goo, and especially if there's a comedian or somebody who knows that special, they go Goonie Goo Goo, and we're just laughing.
Yep. Automatically. The seed is planted.
Automatically. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. I mean, it's the same thing with I'm trying to turn, what's it called? I'm putting my computer to do not disturb. I've learned that now. It's the same thing with music. You know, I was just telling my son this. I was watching, I don't know if you've watched Never Have I Ever, which is the new Mindy Kaling produced show on Netflix. It's a great show.
Okay.
It's about an Indian girl in Los Angeles, coming of age, Indian American. Oh, wow. And there's some real deep stuff in there. It's a comedy, but it's also got some real deep emotional stuff. And there's an episode where some music kicked in, and the music itself, it was a U2 song, but it added such a layer to the poignant moment that I started tearing up.
Oh, wow.
And I was telling my son, I said, you know, it's amazing how music can be so influential on your mood. And I'll tell you, that's one thing that's probably helped me get through this lockdown is turning on music. You know, I've been doing every day. I've been doing it started to scatter, but early on I was doing every day, 4:00 at LA time. I was doing an Instagram live every day. And then I started adding music to it. And by adding music to it, it just added energy, and it gave me energy, and it gave the audience energy. And when you come up with a new song, they're like, oh my God, that song, you know? So music and comedy, in a way, I think have that effect of
they do.
They trigger something in your head and instantly can change your mood.
They do. What this, I was going to ask you this at the end of the show, but since you brought it up, because I'm asking every comic or every guest rather, what's their favorite song? So I guess I'm going to ask you that right now. What is your favorite song?
Oh my God. I mean, I have so many favorite songs because this is what happens is, first of all, on Instagram, there's a DJ, D Nice, just the letter D Nice. D Nice is old school, and he started spinning now under, the lockdown. He's been spinning every day, I think. And he puts on some amazing songs. And this guy's obviously, his knowledge of music is deep. Okay. So it's other level. And there's always like, you think you've heard your favorite song until he puts on another. It's like, oh no, oh my God.
What a great DJ.
So similarly for me, like every day, because the people I've been bringing on, and I'd love to have you come on too, the people I bring on, I try to think of a theme around that person.
Oh, nice.
And play music around them. So like I had Omid Jalili on, and since he's in London, I had like British bands. So I had like Duran Duran, Hungry Like a Wolf or something. You're like, hungry like a wolf. You're like, this is a great song, And then I had like, the other day I just was like in a disco mood or something. So for some reason I had Shaka Khan. Ain't nobody love me better. And of course, that takes you from that to I'm Every Woman, which is Shaka Khan. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Baby, I do it naturally. So then from that you go to Whitney Houston covering that, and she kills it. So my point I'm trying to make is it's impossible to say that's my favorite song. Like even under lockdown, like I may start doing this on a weekly basis again. Like, listen, you know how it is. We're creative. We can't sit around. So I did a show called Maz in the House, which was just a stand-up comedy show. I've put it on YouTube now, so people can check it out.
Is it out? It's out now. Channel. Okay.
Yeah, if they go to the youtube.com/Maz Jobrani, I just put it out. Have you done stand-up under COVID? Have you done it?
I haven't. I haven't taken the plunge. I don't feel comfortable with it, man.
You may have to do it on my show because I may start doing a weekly show called Maz in the House. And what I'll do is I did like a half an hour of just, somebody calmed me down. And this is what it is. If you consider it as telling your stories, just telling your stories of what you've been going through. All right. And then maybe you sprinkle in some jokes and eventually you'll realize you got 15 minutes of stuff at least to talk about. Now I have been, because of the daily 4:00 Instagram lives, I kept talking about what's going on in my life. So I had story. And in telling my stories, you know how it is as comedians, we get on stage, we talk about our stories and punchlines come out of them.
Always.
So all of a sudden I did this past Saturday, I had Tehran warm up and then I did a half an hour of relatively new material. Now, is it polished? No. Right. But is it relevant? Yes, because everyone's going through it, right? So what I was saying was we were trying to come up with music because I'm calling it Maz in the House. So again, pick a theme and go, what are some songs around that? Well, okay, Madness, our house. In the middle of our street, our house, right? You're like, oh, that's a great song. Then I think to myself, what's another song related to In the House? And I was like, what about Rockwell's Somebody's Watching Me? I always feel like somebody's watching me. Yep. Dude, I'm telling you, you pick a theme, there's 1,000 songs that go down that theme, and you think to yourself, oh my God, that's my favorite song. So there's no way. I could tell you, like, if you told me pick your 5 favorite movies, I could do that for you. But if you say favorite song,
impossible. It's constantly flowing.
It's constantly flowing.
Okay, besides Jimmy Westwood, which is the greatest film of all time. How do you like that segue? That was a good one.
That was a really good segue.
Okay, so Jimmy Westwood, every now and then you post a clip from Jimmy Westwood, and it has me completely rolling on the floor. Just quickly, because you mentioned movies, so I'm going to segue into this and then segue to something else. If people want to watch Jimmy Westwood, am I right in saying it's on Amazon and Apple? Where can they check this out? And for those who don't know, for the very few who don't, Jimmy Westwood is a fucking hilarious comedy movie that Maz Jobrani put out. And, well, Maz, tell everybody about it.
So Jimmy Westwood is called Jimmy Westwood American Hero, and it's a silly comedy that I made because I don't know how you were in Beirut. Now, you're younger than me. Now, I'm 48. When I was a kid, I left Iran when I was 6 years old. when I was in Iran and then having left Iran and come to America, the Pink Panther with Peter Sellers was huge. Like Iranians loved it. Peter Sellers, Pink Panther. Da-dum, 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 da-da-da-da-da-da.
Iranians loved Pink Panther?
Dude, but listen, I mean, Beirut, I think, was similar. America does a good job of exporting its culture.
Mm-hmm.
So before the revolution, as a kid in Iran, I remember Pink Panther. I remember Zorro. I remember Rocky. I remember Muhammad Ali. I used to have a Muhammad Ali doll. I mean, the American culture had come in, you know, Fanta orange soda, although it was Canada Dry is what it was, but it was orange. Adidas, which is German, but still. Point being, these cultures come over there. So as a kid, I loved the Pink Panther. So years later, I run into my friend Amir Ohebsian, who's a writer, and we do a play. And then there's a character in there. I go, we should do a movie off of this character. So the character becomes Jimmy Westwood. And basically, he's a bumbling idiot who saves the day. And so I call it the Persian Pink Panther. And really, we did it for just to be silly. Like, our target audience were 12-year-old boys. Because that's who I was when I loved the Pink Panther. It's true. And I don't know, Nemr, if you run into this in the Lebanese community. I run into this in the Iranian community all the time, where if I do a joke that's like a fart joke or a joke that's lowbrow,
it kills.
Once in a while, I'll get people that are like very respectable about being Iranian. They go, "You're disgracing Iranians. We are lawyers and doctors, and you should be talking about that." And I'm like, dude, I'm just being silly, okay? All my jokes aren't going to please you. Either you're in or you're out. And so that's why when people ask me sometimes in interviews, they go, how does it feel to do you feel like you represent Iranians? I go, no, I don't represent anybody but me, because if Iranians think I represent them, they're going to be disappointed at some point, because I'm going to do something that's going to disappoint them. So I don't want anyone to feel that I represent them. Muslims, Iranians, none of that. Nobody. I represent me. So part of that is I do a lot of political humor. I do a lot of humor about being a parent, but I also do a lot of silly humor. So Jimmy Westwood is a silly movie. We put it out there, and a lot of like the teenagers that saw it were like, dude, I love it. Because it's not the perfect movie. All right. We both know when you watch your favorite silly movie, there's a lot of like flaws in it.
Yeah.
And it was the first movie I ever made. So
but it was
there's
great.
a lot to the story.
For what it, as a silly movie, it's a fucking great movie.
Yeah, it's a silly movie. So I tell people, I go, listen, either watch it with your kids, or if you're a stoner, get stoned and watch it. You'll love it. You won't criticize it. You know?
Which is great for the Lebanese fans. We just legalized cannabis for medicinal purposes, but we just legalized it in Lebanon.
Fantastic.
So there's your movie, guys.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's on Apple. If people Google it, I'm sure somewhere illegally they can find it over there. Just Jimmy Westwood, like the word Westwood, but with V's, Westwood. So people should watch it. It's available, and enjoy.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to ask you about earlier, and it flows perfectly here. You grew up in Iran. Well, you grew up 6 years old. You come back to America. You're from Iran, obviously. You have a huge Iranian following, but you also have a huge international following. How do you view your relationship today with Iran? What does Iran mean to you as a human being?
Well, that's an interesting question. So, because I think you were born in America, right? And then you went to Lebanon, you came back, right?
No, I was born in Lebanon when I was 2. I came here, and then I went back when I was 10. So
okay, come in and go. Okay, so for me, I was born in Iran, left when I was 6, come to America, and then I'm in America. I grew up in America. So a lot of American culture, like as a kid, now I don't know how it was for you, but as a kid, I grew up in Northern California, Marin County, okay? There weren't that many Iranians. There was a handful of Iranians. Los Angeles is the biggest population of Iranians outside of Iran. So that's where I live now. But growing up in Northern California, most of my friends were just like white American dudes. And so my culture was baseball, and it was all the movies and E.T. and Star Wars and all that stuff. And fast food, and and also being embarrassed of my family. Like my family would, once in a while, the Iranians that were in Marin County all knew each other. So on the weekends we'd go to their homes for parties. And if, my only hope was that they had a kid so that I could play with the kid. Because otherwise I was like dreading hanging out with a bunch of Iranian parents playing Persian music. So I really was kind of turned off by the culture as a kid, because it wasn't cool. Right. And you just want to blend in. You don't want to stand out as a kid. So you just want to blend in. But then I go to college, go to Berkeley, and And there I met a bunch of Iranian Americans who had the similar experience as me. They'd grown up Iranian in America, and we all were able to make references to American culture, but also to Iranian culture. We all spoke Persian fluently, so we would tell jokes in Persian sometimes to each other. So all of a sudden I rediscover my culture. And also I start studying America's history with Iran and realize that in 1953, America comes in and overthrows a democratically elected leader, Mohammad Mossadegh, with a CIA coup. And I go, oh, wow, America's hands are dirty.
Shock.
Shock, exactly. So it really helped me embrace my culture more. And so having done that and coming to LA, I have a foot in the culture, but it's like some people become like, Iranian, Persian files or whatever you call them, like Iranian files, people that like love the culture and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And there's like Americans that marry Iranians will reach out to me and be like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're there. You've really helped me learn the culture, this and that. And they're more into the culture than I am. So they'll be like, I listen to this singer and that singer and that singer. And I'm like, I don't listen to any of those singers because it's just not what I grew up with,
It's so weird.
At the same time,
they do. The older people still listen to, but if you were to meet young Iranians today, they probably don't listen to that music. It's weird, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, it varies because there's some young people who so embrace it. They go, oh my God, I love it. And you're part of that. And I'm like, I kind of am. I'm kind of not. Because I go, here, I get this sometimes. I don't know if you get this. I'll get like Iranian parents in their 50s will show up with their kids who are in their late teens, right? Or early 20s.
Okay.
And they'll come to my show. And after the show, they come up, oh my God, Maz, I am so happy you are doing what you do. My kids, they can come to the show with me. We all laugh. We have a good time. And what's amazing, they don't even speak Persian and they understand your show. And I go, the whole show was in English. What are you talking about? The show's in English.
Get that too.
And somehow it doesn't hit them that the show's not in Farsi. It's crazy to me. And to the same point, I have people reach out to me from Iran now who go, why don't you do your show in Persian? And I go, because I grew up in America. I'm more comfortable doing stand-up in English. There's a rhythm to it. Mm-hmm. And also there's a mastery of the language that you have to have in order to do it the way you got to do it right. So for me, I speak Persian fluently, but I don't speak it well enough
to do stand-up,
to do comedy in it. And I don't know the culture. I don't know what the Iranian culture in Iran is right now at all. Like I haven't been to Iran in over 20 years. So I couldn't be like, oh, such and such street where kids go and hang out and this and this. And I don't know that stuff. Yeah. So all of that to come back and say, I've got one foot in the culture. I've got one foot in, the American culture. And the truth is, again, I just go back to saying what I was saying earlier, which is I don't represent anybody. I represent me. I am an Iranian American who is a father, who's in his late 40s, who, has no hair, who's constantly sore. So these are the subjects that come to mind, because sometimes people will come to me, and I don't know if you get this, they want you to represent them. They go, like, they'll come after the show, you should do more jokes about the Persian moms or whatever. And I go, well, I don't want to, I wanted to do a whole hour about farting. So that's what I did, or no, currently this little special or whatever you want to call it, this little COVID-19 lockdown comedy show I put out. A lot of it is about just going through the experience we're going through. So whether you're Iranian or black or Asian or whatever you are, same experience.
Don't you think the fact that you grew up in America and you come from an Iranian background is kind of, and you're in perfect harmony with yourself, don't you feel that as a human being, if you have more than one perspective or one influence or one place to grow up, that you're able to be more comfortable with yourself than if you come from just one place? I've kind of noticed that. Where, like you're saying, you're meeting Iranians who are saying, why don't you do jokes in Farsi? They're kind of uncomfortable with what you're doing. Whereas other people who are, Iranian but lived here as well can easily synchronize into what you're doing. I feel like it's less alienating.
I'm not sure if that's the thing. I think that some fans expect certain things. Mm-hmm. Some fans love it. Some fans are like, I love the fact that you put out all material about whatever, trees. That's fantastic. They like you to experiment, or basically it's not experiment. It's writing, right? Because musicians and comedians are different. Musicians, people want to hear your greatest hits. If they go to a concert and you go, It's a whole new album. They're going to be like, oh, come on, man. Comedy is different. They want all new material. So because a joke is funniest the first time you hear it, because the element of surprise, they don't know what's coming. Then you hit them. Then they come and see you 6 months later. You do the same joke. They go, hey, I've already heard that joke. And you go, well, listen, dude, a bunch of people haven't, so relax. But also, they don't realize it takes time for you to write new material. So with all that said, I think some people kind of get it and they're more supportive of it. And they go, hey, I'm happy. I'm excited that you put out new stuff, yada, yada. Some people, here's my biggest pet peeve. Somebody will hit you up and be like, you need new material, dude. And you're like, oh, have you been to my shows? No, I've seen all your clips on YouTube. Okay, so you see all my shit for free, and you keep watching it over and over again, and you don't come to see any of my live shows, and you're complaining about it? Like, it's all like, just, why don't you write some material?
And now you're reinforcing that behavior because you're doing so many things online for free now too. It's only going to make, after this coronavirus thing is done, it's going to be worse for all of us because you're doing your podcast, you're doing the new show, you got your specials online. Shit.
I know, it's crazy. But, it ultimately comes down to, there was a comedian named Freddie Soto. Mm-hmm. He passed away. But Freddie was this Mexican-American comedian. He was really one of the funniest guys. And he was a regular at the Comedy Store when I first became a regular. Okay. And I remember when I first became a regular at the Comedy Store, it was like 1999 or like around 2000. And when you first become a regular, Mitzi Shore, who's Pauly Shore's mother, the founder of the Comedy Store, she wouldn't put you up in the prime time. She wouldn't put you up at like 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock when the audience is there and excited. She would put you up at 1 a.m. And I had been doing comedy for like maybe a year or so, so I wasn't used to being up at 1 a.m. in front of 5 strangers. And so the shows I'd done up to then were what you would call bringer shows. And a bringer show, as you know, is where a comedian goes, hey, I've got a bar. I do a show every Tuesday night. I'll book you, but you have to bring 5 audience members with you. So they book, 10 of us that are all new. We each bring 5 people. We have 50 people in the audience, but it's amateur comedy night. So we all stink. But the audience is forgiving and they're our friends and they'll clap a little bit. So up until I became a regular at the Comedy Store, I was used to doing those shows. And when I would do those shows, out of the 10 amateurs on the show, I'd always be one of the stronger comedians because we're all amateurs. We all stunk, but I stunk less than the others. And more importantly, we all would just do our set almost like a monologue. Nobody was like talking to the audience. Like if a waitress broke some glasses, nobody was good enough to go, oh, hey, what just happened? You would just kind of stick to your show. So I come from that and I go to the Comedy Store and I try doing my act in front of audiences late night. And they're kind of in their own world and they're staring at me and going like, why is this guy not acknowledging us? Why isn't he acknowledging the fact that it's 1 a.m? Why is he just trying to tell his jokes about his girlfriend or whatever it was at the time? And so one night I was doing a show at, I think it was 1:45. The club closes at 2. I was the last show of the night. And all that was left in the audience were 2 guys on the side that were nerdy looking guys with a really hot girl. There was 2 nerdy guys, 1 hot girl on the side. And then Freddie was sitting all the way in the back of the room. So I'm doing my show and I'm trying to do my act. And like 5 minutes in, I realized people are just staring at me. And I go, I can't just keep doing this. And in my head, I was curious how these 2 nerdy dudes ended up with her, with the hot girl.
Yeah.
So I just break my act. I turn to them. I go, guys, I got to tell you, obviously, I don't know why you guys are here. I'm here because I got my spot and it's 1:45. But how did you 2 end up with her? And I start going off on that. And it becomes a whole act. And I turn it into an act. And it becomes a give and take. I'm back and forth. Show's over. I go to the back of the room. Freddie's sitting there. He's been watching me. And he goes, hey, man, you're funny. I go, thanks. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, what you did was what you got to do is be in the moment and just be funny. And he goes, you realize eventually it's not about bits. He goes, you're either funny or you're not. Mm-hmm. So you either got it or you don't. It's not about your bits. If one bit can make or break you, then you're not funny. True. If you have this one bit where you go, oh my God, I was doing a bit about whatever, weightlifting, and I just was watching so-and-so, and they do a similar bit, and now I can't do that bit. And you go, well, there's 1,000 other bits
that you could do.
Let it go. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's similar to what you were just saying about like sometimes I used to be a little more stingy about my material, but now I just go, listen, man, if I'm in the flow and I'm in the moment, I'm ready to go, and I'll just throw out stuff. I'll just keep throwing out stuff. And the hope is that once you're done with an hour's worth of material that you put out on a special, that you will be in the moment enough and funny enough and continue to be funny to create a whole other hour.
And you've done 4 specials right now. So in 2009, Brown and Friendly. 2013, I Come in Peace. 2015, I'm Not a Terrorist, but I've played one on TV. In 2017, on Netflix, Immigrant. What would you say is...
Yeah, and then before that, I was part of Axis of Evil, so that would be my 5th one.
That's true.
And I just recorded one called The Peaceful Warrior Tour. I recorded that in Dubai, and hopefully that's going to come out this summer. So that will be 6 specials, right? That'll be 6.
6.
If you include that, yeah. So 6, yeah. What were you saying about?
First of all, that's testament to what you were just saying about you're hoping that you would be fresh enough and in the moment enough to keep coming up with new stuff. Clearly, you have been consistently, because many people might not know this, but I think 2 specials is all that Jerry Seinfeld has. I mean, George Carlin is considered a titan for having 13 specials, but Seinfeld, who's world renowned, only has a couple. Coming up with multiple specials is not common. It's not a thing when somebody to come up with a new material every year and a half. You've been doing it consistently. I'm curious, what would you characterize, like, how, out of all these experiences you've had, all of these specials that you've done, how would you define your journey in all of these things? And what one do you think is the one that you were able to finally say? Because I can guess that you probably weren't happy. None of us as comedians are ever happy seeing ourselves. We're always dissatisfied with the special. Has there been any special where you were like, that's the energy, that's the one that I wanted? Or have they all been like that? How's it been?
Those are good questions. First of all, someone like Seinfeld who has 2, it just means the guy's a perfectionist. Some of these guys are such perfectionists where they're like, I'm not ready. I'm the Picasso of comedy. And his joke writing and stuff, you can't argue. I mean, it's amazing. And so a lot of these guys are like that. They're like, I'm going to hold on. And by the way, if there's a difference between joke writing, there's a lot of guys who are telling stories about themselves, but there's a lot of joke writing involved. And then there's the people who are only telling stories about themselves, and the jokes and punchlines kind of work their way in. So you look at a guy like Cosby, or, I'm trying to think, even like Louis C.K. And, unfortunately, these guys have had their falling outs and stuff. But at the same time, if you look at the material, there's long storytelling about things that happen, and there's punchlines in the middle of it.
Exactly.
Versus a guy like Dave Attell, who's a master joke writer. So it's right. Jeff Ross, boom, 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 boom. So I fall into the storytelling style. So a lot of my stuff comes from, a lot of my stuff comes from my life or observations. And a lot of my stuff is also current. It's not as evergreen, meaning like, if you watch it 20 years from now, there's going to be references to political stuff that was happening. So you might not get it as well. So because of that, I have to keep writing. That's one of the reasons I put this coronavirus one out, because I thought to myself, this material is relevant now.
Going to be gone later.
Yes, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it 6 months from now.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be as relevant. So I said, you know what? It's not even a special. It's just like a coronavirus lockdown comedy. And I said, let me just put it on YouTube. I'm just going to put it on YouTube.
You told me it's a special that's not so special, is what you told me, is the way you defined it.
Yeah, it's not so special. It was just me sitting there going like, you know what? Let me just put it out there. So I think that when you write like that, you have to keep creating specials, because the fact is, I have, like, my Brown and Friendly was in 2008, and my son had just been born, and so I have jokes about him being a baby. He's now 11. So there are comedians who will do material from like 20 years ago, and when I watch them, I kind of cringe, because I'm like, God, how does that guy still do that joke when his baby is now 11? How do you go up there and go, yeah, my baby, can't, connect to my wife's nipple when he's trying to breastfeed, when your baby's now 11? Like, you're pretending like it's 11 years ago. So that to me is almost like, it's almost like what happens is sometimes when you get a taste of success, I think I might have heard Chris Rock talk about this. It's like you get afraid of trying new material because every time people see, hold on.
No worries.
Oh boy, hold on one second. I got the virus.
You got the coronavirus.
Yeah. No. Every
Bless you.
time people see you, thank you. I got an itch in my throat. Every time people see you, they, when you're successful, they expect you to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the best things I've seen is when like Chris Rock will show up to try new material. I've seen him like at the Comedy Store or some clubs in New York. People will go, you know, you'll be on and the host will come up and go, guys, we have a special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rock. And the crowd goes, ah! And he walks on stage and he does something very smart. He sits there and he's like, all right, calm down. He's like, I'm going to try some new material. So you guys get to help me out here. Tell me if it's good or not. And so he lowers their expectation, mm-hmm. and then he tries out the material. Brilliant. You have to do that. Because if you don't do that, everyone expects all your jokes
Chris Rock
to be like your best show ever. So I think that it's walking on a plank. It's reminding yourself, I'm going to be able to walk. I got to walk out on a plank. So I've had to keep reminding myself to do that. And every time I see a special, like as soon as it airs, I'm watching it because you promote the hell out of it. People, please watch, please watch, please watch. And then it comes out and you go, wow. And then you go, oh no, that's out there now. And the next time I do a show, I can't do those jokes.
Nope.
And it's a little, it's daunting. But then
terrifying.
You say to yourself, yeah, terrifying. And one of the things is like, if I have a joke, like on my last special, Immigrant, one of my favorite jokes was when I talk about when the travel ban happened in America. The first week Trump was in office, he put in the travel ban, and there was protests all over the country. And I went to a protest at LAX, and I do a whole bit about going to the protest.
It's hilarious.
And when I go to the protest, I realize white people born in America protest differently than immigrants and people not born in America. Because I go, we're at the protest, and we're all marching, and then suddenly the riot police comes out. And when the riot police comes out, I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to go protest over here. But the white guy keeps going. He marches up right to the white, the cop. He's like, out of my way, copper. It's my right to protest, yada, yada. And the joke goes on. So that used to be a joke that when I would do it, it would get laughs, whether it was in front of, an audience that was friendly or it was an audience that was new. Like I did it on the late show with Stephen Colbert, and it got laughs. So it was one of the stronger parts of that special. Mm-hmm. So for me, I know that my new stuff is coming together because once the special comes out, there's an hour of that. Now the next day you don't have a whole new hour.
Obviously.
No, the next day you got to go to the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory in LA where we get to perform 20 minutes at a time, and you got to go up and do 20 minutes. Now, when the specialists come out, the next day I go to the clubs, and as part of that 20-minute set, because the special's an hour, but as part of the 20-minute set,
there'll be a few things.
I'm going to have some jokes, but I always end up doing the joke about the travel ban protests because that's my strongest material that I have right now currently. It's an evolution, right? I'm pulling that from the special, putting it into this 20 minutes. I know things are coming together when 6 months later or 3 months later, I'm doing 20 minutes and I don't have to do
that joke,
the joke from the special. So when my strongest material can be put aside from the previous special and I can do 20 and then I can go on the road and start doing a whole hour without doing that material from that special. I'm like, oh, this hour's coming together. And then I do that for a year or two. And then after a year or two, I go, I'm ready for the next special. And I put it out. And so that's the evolution of it. And I would say that the last special I did, which was Immigrant, which came out on the Netflix one, to me, that was the one where I was like, this is everything I've wanted, because Netflix came up and gave us a budget, and it was at the Kennedy Center, which is in America, it's one of the better known venues. And DC is one of my favorite places to perform.
Incredible.
I'd always had a dream of performing in DC. Yeah, it's incredible because people in DC are politically minded. I got to do a lot of crowd work that I threw in there. It was right after Trump had become president. So to this day, I encourage people, like I put out every couple weeks, I put out a clip on my Instagram and I go, please go watch immigrant because I'm proud of it and I think that it stands up. And the truth is, it's like, it's very competitive. So you want people, because when I went to Netflix, I said, hey, let's do the next special. They were like, well, you did well, but it hasn't done well enough. So I tell people, I go, even if you don't want to watch it, just turn it on and vacuum. I just want people to keep watching it.
Get those
so
numbers
the numbers
up.
go up. I honestly feel it's a very strong special. So that to me, up until now, has been my strongest special. But you know, we keep going and we keep.
But it's not. You wouldn't consider it. You think you still got more in you. That's not your magnum opus. That's still to come. If somebody were to ask you, then has Maz reached peak Maz, or is there still more Maz to come? What would you say?
Dude, we have to believe that peak is constantly being redefined because 100%. that's just what it is. I mean, again, Carlin's a great example. Don Rickles, he did it till he was 90 or whatever. I mean, we have to keep talking and writing and being relevant. You know, I mean, truth is, when I watch a show like what I was saying earlier, the Mindy Kaling produced show, Never Have I Ever, and it's about teenagers, and I see them and I'm like, oh my God, I'm old. Like, I'm not relevant to these teenagers anymore. But I think to myself, you know, there are people like Jerry Seinfeld who still, when I watch him, he's still funny. And he's being funny to a lot of generations. Or Dave Chappelle or Bill Burr. So I think to myself, you know what? And I get people sometimes reaching out to me who are in their early teens or, you know, they're going, oh, loved your such and such. So when I find out that my comedy is hitting a wide demographic, I go, I got to keep talking. I got to keep going. So no, I don't think there is an opus. I think as comedians, one of the things that holds us back sometimes, holds comedians back, is they go, I'm worried about failing. I don't want to walk on the plank. And I say, early on, I realized stand-up comedy is like a piece of art. It's a blank canvas that is never done. Like, you just start painting. And you keep painting and you look at it, you go, oh my God, that's kind of messed up. Let me go fix that. And let me fix that. And you keep painting until you go, wow, this has all come to kind of the end of how far I can go with this canvas. And you put that out as a special. And then you go back to a totally blank, empty painting, a white canvas, and you start painting again. And I have no idea where that painting is going to take me. And I have no idea if this painting is going to be better than the old painting. And to me, this painting may be better than the old painting, but to others, the old painting might be better than the new painting. I mean, I've had people come up to me and be like, oh my God, you know, my favorite special was Axis of Evil. And I'm like, wow, that was the first one. I go, you haven't watched any of the others? They're like, nah, I didn't really want to, you know? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what people are going to like.
It's the journey.
But I have to keep.
Yeah.
It's the journey, and I have to keep putting it out. Like, that's why once coronavirus happened and I discovered this idea of, it's funny because I thought I was being unique by doing Instagram lives every day. I was like, oh, I'm going to do Instagram lives every day. Well, everyone and their mother's doing Instagram lives every day. But that's not for me to worry about. Like, for me, it's just, I got to keep expressing myself. So, and I keep coming up with observations. Sometimes I sit there and I go, someone else must have done a joke like this. But I go, you know what? Unless if it's like so obvious to me that definitely someone else has done something like this, I sit there and I go, this is my experience right now. So like one of the jokes I did in this thing that's on YouTube now, whatever we want to call it, the coronavirus one, is about jogging under lockdown. Like, we can jog in LA. So I talk about, like, and this is an observation I've had, like when I was jogging and they said, wear a mask. Well, they said, I wear a mask when I go out, but I don't wear a mask when I go jogging. And I've seen a lot of people not wear a mask when you go jogging. And they say, you just got to keep 6 feet apart. So I was jogging one day and I see somebody coming towards me. And as I'm crossing the street to stay away from them, I feel obligated to give them a acknowledgement, like a little wave and a nod, and then go across the street. And as a comedian, in my head, I was like, oh, okay. I see why I had to wave and nod, because I wanted them to know that I see them. And I don't think that, I'm not saying you have the coronavirus. I'm just saying I'm being friendly and going this way. And then it became a joke that I did in the Instagram live. I said, guys, if you're jogging, you know, you're supposed to keep 6 feet apart. And if someone's coming towards you, if you just go that way, then without looking at them, your message is, You've got the virus. Stay away from me. I go, but no, what you got to do is you got to give him a little wave, and then you got to go. Because then they think, oh, wow, what a nice guy. But in your mind, you're still thinking, this bastard's got it. I'm going that way. So it becomes, part of my experience. So I got to talk about it.
Yeah. I get you, man. I get you. How do you think it's going to be? What your prediction for the future? Ask everybody whenever we have a comic on the show. I'm asking them this. When do you think we're going to be back on stage, Maz? What's your supposition? There's no way we can know for sure. But when do you think we're going to be back doing our thing?
I was watching Jimmy Schubert on Joe Diaz's podcast, and they were talking about it. And Schubert said something that made sense. He goes, listen, I think eventually clubs will start to open up before a vaccine comes out. It'll open up, and whereas a club was able to have 300 people, now they're going to have 100 people. Seat them a little bit further apart. Maybe they have to wear masks. Maybe they have to have their temperatures taken. Which, by the way, we know for comedy, we need the closer audiences are, the better it is. But hey, if we got to deal with that, we deal with it. Until the vaccine is found. And once the vaccine comes out, then I think we go back to life as it was before. Up until then, though, I'll be honest, these online things, it's amazing because the human spirit, I think, just keeps moving. The human spirit is not lazy. And a lot of people are that. And especially when you come from a creative world, and especially when we're in a world like today. I was saying this in one of somebody asked me like in a Q&A, they go, what's it like having the kids at home with Zoom? And I said, I just thank God it's not 30 years ago when we didn't have this. And if they had questions, they would have to come to me and they would find out what an idiot I am because I don't know the answers to all their questions, So similarly, I think that this world is going to continue to go like this online world. I mean, already podcasts, all this stuff, but I think people are going to, when I did this comedy show the other day, it was amazing. People were sitting in their living rooms, sipping wine. Some people sitting in the kitchen, 5 or 6 to a kitchen thing, and they're watching comedy. And it looked to me like they were having a good time. And so I'm hoping as we're able to bring on sponsors and find ways to monetize and help comedians make money doing this, then more and more comedians may start doing that. And so it's going to be a combination of both.
Fascinating.
Think about it. I said it in the show. I said, look, this is the first time I'm doing stand-up comedy in my shorts. And I go, if I could do stand-up comedy in my shorts and make money, I would do it every week.
That's true. Actually, it's a really good point. That's a really good point, man. I'm in my shorts right now as we speak. Are you?
I'm in some linen pants, my friend.
Linen pants? Look at you all bougie.
Yeah.
Maz,
bougie it up, baby.
Boozing it up. Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions. All right? We asked you what your favorite song was, and that was a great answer that you gave us. Do you have a favorite book?
My favorite book is, I haven't read it in a while. Again, I have a handful of favorite books, but one of my favorite books was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Oh, it was all futuristic and probably plays into this world we're in right now. So let's go with Brave New World. I remember as a kid, I loved it.
Brave New World, done. And when all is said and done, and as an Arab, I have to say, many, many years from now, all your life, etc., what would you like your legacy to be? What is the objective?
The objective
for Maz
is
Jobrani.
To. I just want people. I've been lucky because generally speaking, I've got a pretty good demeanor, and people, I think, whether they like my comedy or not, I think people that know me know that I'm a pretty nice guy. So I've always wanted people to know that, and I hope that they go, he was a nice guy.
That's beautiful.
I don't mind that.
That's beautiful, dude. Minimalist. I love it. Maz Jobrani, thank you so much for joining us. Just to remind everybody watching, go and watch Immigrant on Netflix, and after you're done watching it, loop it, keep it on the entire time, vacuum, clean, do the dishes, whatever. We got to keep that thing going. Also, I'm pretty sure if you watch, If you watch it once, you're going to watch it more than once. It's honestly, I'm not saying this just to your face. I fucking loved Immigrant. Great special.
Thank you, man. Thank you, bro.
I judge specials when I watch them in two cases. Some I find very funny and some infuriate me. Yours infuriated me because there were several jokes. I was like, son of a bitch, why didn't I think of that one? So
thanks, man.
It's a great special. Of course, you also have your podcast, which we didn't mention, the Back to School podcast. Is that going on now or is that on hold during the Corona times?
No, we put it out every week. If people go Back to School with Maz Jobrani, again, it's on my YouTube channel. So youtube.com/Maz Jobrani. They can watch the Back to School episodes. It's also on Spotify. It's on iTunes so that people can listen to it.
Awesome.
And it's fun. We bring on different experts and you learn stuff. And people should subscribe. If they like it, give us 5 ratings out of 5 so that we can start making some progress and people can find us. And then there's this new show that I put out on YouTube. Again, if they go to youtube.com/Maz Jobrani, they can watch my coronavirus comedy, lockdown comedy, whatever we want to call it. It's there.
Done. And of course, Jimmy Vestwood, spelled Vestvood, but it's supposed to be Westwood, on Apple and Amazon. So go and check that out as well. Dude, it was really good hanging out with you, man. I can't wait till we do this again in person. But in the meantime, this was a real treat. Thank you so much for joining us.
Right back at you, and I'm going to hit you up to be on my Maz in the House stand-up show. I'm going to pop your cherry when it comes to stand-up comedy.
Yours will be the first platform I do digital stand-up on.
There you go. All right, brother.
Thank you so much, man. You take care, and God bless you and your family and everybody. Stay safe.
You too. Be well.
Bye-bye. Maz Jobrani, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only. I hope you guys had a good time. Let's bring the comments back onto the screen. That was so much fun. I loved having him, man. Let me take a look at your comments before we start taking your phone calls. You know that's going to happen in just a bit. But I love that guy. Mortanius, who's in the comment section, who brought up the one opportunity. That made us laugh so much. We saw it for the first time when he was working on it in the Laugh Factory. That Maz Jobrani is an absolute beast. Truly nice guy, as John Wick's dog and John Wick are saying. Good to see you in agreement. I love that Keanu Reeves and John Wick's dog both commenting at the same time. With a nice mustache. Jason Steve, thank you. Ahmed Fedis, you didn't ask him my question. That's true. I forgot. What was your question again? I forgot about that. The conversation I felt like we covered it, if I'm not mistaken. I did have him. I did save the questions here, but I got so taken in the conversation with him that I forgot to check it out. I have screenshots here of people's questions. I actually didn't screenshot yours, so I apologize. Also, Hella had asked me to ask him a question from Jordan, and I forgot. She wanted me to ask him, what about asking them about a tough experience they've been through and what have they learned from it? I think it already came out, really. Growing up in the U.S. for him was definitely tough, and for all of us. Guys, thanks so much. I'm so glad you guys loved the interview. We did cover a lot. He's a really good guy. Episode had a cozy homie vibe to it. What I want to say about this podcast and what I'm really loving, Farah, great to see you, is that the variety of guests that we have, the different vibes that we have. Like as who was it that just said that right now? It had a cozy homie vibe to it. I would definitely say that's what it was like that. Yusuf Al-Taif saying Immigrant is amazing, relatable material, and funny as fuck. It is. It's nice whenever we get to spend some time with people and just exist with them in their vibe. On Thursday, we have Godfrey with us, one of the funniest comedians ever, a powerhouse. And I expect that episode is going to be a super high energy, more comedic episode. This one was a super nice, warm energy. On Saturday, Jessica Kirsten, I can't even tell you what kind of energy that's going to be. Jessica Kirsten is a tornado. So is Godfrey. If Godfrey's a hurricane, Jessica Kirsten is a tornado. And Maz Jobrani is the perfect storm. That's how I would say our guests are this week. And I'm really excited to be spending time with all of them. I'm so glad you guys are enjoying the podcast and everything. Peter Howarthley's, Nimr, you're a great host letting your guests talk. Mean that in a good way. Of course. I've been on so many podcasts where I'm just kind of sitting there and they're like, so Nimr, what do you think about, you're from the Middle East. How's that? Because, when I was a kid, I always thought the Middle East was, what did you think about? And then they're having conversation. I'm just kind of hanging out there and I'll say a word or two. But I mean, they're our guests. This is our home. The Very Funny Podcast is our home. It's a home we're building together. And when we have a guest on, I want to give them the opportunity to express themselves, because you guys got to know this. This is a stamp in time. Many years in the future, people can look back at this interview and remember a certain time in their lives. And we have a snapshot of these individuals. So it's a beautiful thing. Guys, thanks so much. Farah, I'm making a song out of the part when you said desserts, sir. We had desserts. Maz had some really detailed answers. Loved it. Really genuine dude. He's man. People like Maz Jobrani, comedians. I'm not going to speak about myself. You guys will be the judge of that. But they've been through a lot. And when you see so many things and you work through so many different energies and you're in front of crowds all over the world, some of them are hot, some of them are not, some of them know who you are, some of them have no idea. You understand more about the human condition than you can imagine. So it is what it is. But for all those tuning in right now, for those new people with us today, this is the part of the show after the guest, the third part of the show where we open up the phone line. So I'm going to put that number right there. Before we open them up, I want you guys to go ahead and text me if you haven't already. Text me your name and where you live, so I can add you to the contacts. But this is the number you're going to have to call. We only take calls through WhatsApp. Excuse me. And we're going to go to Reddit. So I'm on Ask Reddit right now. We're going to find ourselves a question. And we're going to put this here. What's the stupidest? This one just popped out at me. And I'm like, that's the question. The question of the day today. What is the stupidest or most stupid reason that you've gotten in trouble in school? This one's great. This one, I feel I feel we're going to get some great phone calls from this one. What is the most stupid reason that you got in trouble at school? Okay. Give me a call. That's the number right there. +1 424 542 9902. I want to know from you, what is the most stupid thing you did that got you in trouble in school? Whether the most stupid thing you did, the funniest thing you did, but something that got you in trouble, the most stupid thing you did that got you in some serious trouble at school. And we're going to switch this up right now to taking calls live. I really feel we're going to get some good calls right now. So give me a call. The phone line is open. Oh, I'm not in WhatsApp. There we are. And the phone is ringing right now. God damn it. I keep pressing the wrong button. Wow. There's a lot of people calling in right now. The Zucka on the phone made it through from the comments section to the phone. Through. He made it, baby. You made it. Look at you growing up in this world.
What's up?
The Zucka, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. What did you think? What did you think? Thank you so much, man. What did you think of my hair today? I displayed it. This is the haircut that I made for myself in quarantine. Does it look good? Am I popping on screen?
Man, Anjad, compared to my case, you're doing a fantastic job.
Did you cut your own hair too?
No, man, I'm about to get a buzz cut because I'm giving up on wearing a hat every day.
Yeah, I couldn't. I was like, even if my hair sucks, I can't keep wearing the hat. But I think it came out pretty good. I think. Oh, look at this, though. Now that I've had the headphones here, I have this weird indentation in my head, which makes me look like a woman called Barbara. That's what I look like right now. I look like Barbara. I don't know why, but I'm getting a Barbara vibe. You can see how I unevenly cut all my hair. Zucka, what is the most stupid thing you did that got you in trouble at school?
Man, when I heard the question, I thought that I had to call because I have two fantastic stories about stupid things that happened in school.
Let's hear it.
Okay. The first one is pretty quick.
Okay.
One of these days, in 11th grade, I was sitting in the back of my class, and for some reason that I still do not know to this day, I started to laugh. And my professor, who was teaching Java programming, was teaching, and he looked at me, and I was just laughing. I was trying to hide my laugh, and I was ducking my head down, and he looks at me, and he says, "Alex," all the way from the front, because I was sitting all the way in the back. I looked up, I was like, "Yes," and my eyes were full of tears. He was like, "What's happening to you? Can you share with us?" And I just started laughing ridiculously loud. He was pissed off.
And nothing funny was happening?
No, dude, there was nothing. You know when you go...
Were you having a psychotic... Was this a psychotic episode or something? Did you have a nervous breakdown?
Literally, that's exactly what it was. I still do not know to this day what happened. He was pissed off, but I was laughing so hard that everyone around me started to laugh, and he started to laugh too. And it was just the funniest
But it doesn't sound like you got in trouble.
No, wait. This was, I was going to get in trouble because he was pissed off, but then he started to laugh, and then he was like, well, okay, I guess everyone got a laugh out of that. Good job. And we moved on.
Okay.
But the other one, this is the good one, man. I had this French teacher
Okay.
when I was younger, in around like 6th or 7th grade, who was like, she was an Egyptian teacher and she was teaching French. And for some reason, she absolutely hated the school principal that we had at the time. So she would constantly make comments about this principal in class, and she would make like negative comments and like cuss out the principal basically. And we were too young to say anything, right? Like, we couldn't do much about it at the time. So one of these days, she gets mad at me for no reason. I was doing nothing. She gets mad at me, throws me out of class, tells me to go to the principal's room. I looked at her. I was like, "Are you sure you want me to do that?" This is like 6th, 7th grade me. I asked her, are you sure you want me to do that? She said, "Yes, go to the principal right now." I said, "Okay." So I go to the principal's office. I knock on the door. The principal back then loved me. She absolutely loved me. I don't know why, but I was like her favorite student back then. So I go in, and she asked me, "What happened? Why are you here?" I told her, "Well, the French teacher who always cusses you out is she's technically in the office."
The French teacher who always cusses you out. Someone in the comments was the French teacher, Miss Josephine. No, it was a different one, but it stands. So the French teacher who always, that's what you told her? The French teacher who always...
This is literally what I said. I said, "The French teacher who always cusses you out sent me to your office." She looked at me confused. She was like, "What is this? Why is she sending you to office? I don't understand." I told her.
Wait, was your... you should mention your principal was Indian. Where was this?
Bro, where I studied was in an Indian school in Kuwait.
Okay, so that makes sense. Just so people don't think you're being weirdly racist. Okay, so your Indian principal. Yeah. Okay, so you tell her this shit. What happens next?
Yeah, I go in, so I tell her that, and she looks at me. She's like, "What do you mean?" I told her, well, literally 1, 2, 3. I don't remember what she used to cuss her out for, but I remember I explained it to the principal. Like, she used to make fun of the principal for having, like, I don't know what different kind of hair or whatever. I don't really remember back then what it was. So the principal looks at me. She says, "Listen, don't worry about it, my child. Just go back to class. Tell her the principal sent you back to class." I said, "Okay." I go back to my class. I sit down. A few days later, the teacher doesn't show up.
She got fired.
She actually got fired.
You're the Tekashi 6ix9ine of your school. Snitches get stitches, baby. That's what you are. You're a snitch. You went in there and you're like, if I'm going down, you're all going down with me. That's how it's gonna go right now. The Zucka's in the house, baby.
Man, she literally like she used, like, it wasn't even me, because what she did was the principal went and did an investigation after, and found out that no, this is true. Like, even she used to cuss her out to other teachers, and the other teachers are the one who ended up snitching on her, not me. I was just
you are not a teacher's pet. You are the principal's pet. That's like a whole other level of Tekashi 6ix9ine. You're Tekashi 70. You went up. You took Tekashi 6ix9ine and you one upped him. You're Tekashi 70. But man,
man,
dude, where are you now? Where are you calling us from?
I'm still in Kuwait for now until my visa runs out, and then God knows.
God knows. Dude, that's the story of your life, man. You stay safe. Thanks for calling, brother.
Habibi, man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good rest of the stream. I'll be in the chat.
Habibi, man. Take care. Bye-bye. Say hi to everybody in the chat for me. Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody in the chat, please.
I meant say it to them when you go back into the chat. I can say whatever.
I said it now.
I said it now. Tekashi 70, a.k.a. the Zeka, on the phone. Guys, give us a call. The number's on the screen. We got Ahmed Kojo calling us from Montreal, Canada. Dennis. Ahmed Kojo. Dennis, how's it?
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. How's it going?
Good. All is good.
Dude, what is the most stupid thing that you got in trouble for during school?
Well, if I may, before jumping into that, I'm calling specifically for one thing. Yeah. I'm calling for your monologue. And dude, this hits so much a lot of us people who are living abroad and during their childhood were actually living abroad. So this was my case.
Okay.
And actually this is something, it's funny because of confinement and everything, where you have to speak with people around you. So I'm locked down with my wife and my mother-in-law. Don't laugh. Okay, so this is exactly one of the conversations that we had.
Wait. I'm going to stop you. No, wait a sec. No. We're not going to walk right over that. Hold on. So you're locked in. You're locked in, and you're locked in with your mother-in-law and your wife. Now, I have a series of questions, and I want you to answer with yes or no. That's it. Just yes or no?
My mother-in-law is fantastic, just in case my wife will hear that later.
Just yes or no, because I take it we're not on speaker, right?
No, you're not.
Okay, so just yes and no. These are the only two words I want to hear from you. Here's my first question. Is your mother-in-law or your wife watching this stream?
Right now, no.
Okay. Remember, just yes or no. Don't say right now. Don't give any hints in case they overhear you. This is for your protection. I'm trying to help you here. Okay? Is your mother-in-law the most wonderful person in the world? Understood. Understood. Next question.
No, you're gonna give me a problem, man. No, she's.
Do you have kids? Do you have kids? Do you have kids?
Yeah, well, she's here because of that. I had a newborn just like 2 days before
Oh shit, man! Congratulations, dude. Are you a new father?
No, second father. So my first kid is 2.5 years. She's Selena, baby girl. And then now this is the second kid. He's a boy.
And what's his name?
So his name is Owen, Mohammed Owen.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. Allah يخليلك اياهم, bro. خليك فوق راسهم يا رب. نفرح منهم ان شاء الله. عمال شيء.
Just small parenthesis. If you remember that guy that contacted you back on the initiative about the petroleum.
Yeah, I know. Petroleum. That's you, yeah. No, I know that.
So just to go back to the point, so 2 days ago, we had exactly that discussion about the fact that why her scare and what is she scared about. And her only worry is exactly what you mentioned, is that, you guys won't stop, your kids won't call us, they won't talk to us, they will be like marijuana addicts, and it's everything that you're saying is
marijuana addicts. That's fantastic. Marijuana. It's not like meth addicts or cocaine addicts. No, they're going to be addicted to marijuana. And be addicted to marijuana. They're not going to want to call us. They're going to be on that ganja, that good stuff, the marijuana.
Exactly.
God damn.
And so that's something that our generation is actually facing.
Dude, all ethnic parents. All ethnic parents. It's the same. If you're black,
I completely agree.
If you're Indian, Latino, Arab, it's just crazy. I feel like the only difference between white people and the rest of the world is that white people are like, I can't wait for them not to call us anymore. Like, I feel like white people are like, I can't wait for these kids to turn 18 and get the fuck out of my house. And then Arabs are like, when they turn 18, they won't talk to us. And I think that is like the fundamental difference between the two cultures, is that white people are like, I've had enough of this shit. And then anyways, what is something very stupid that you did in school that got you in trouble? Do you remember?
Well, I don't know if it's stupid, but the aftermath was stupid. As I was living back then in Ivory Coast.
Okay.
And it was for everyone that lived in like beginning of the 2000s, and in Ivory Coast we had a coup d'etat. Mm-hmm. So overpowering the army, overpowered the government, and it happened like 2-3 times. Each time a new army guy will come in and have another one on the current government. Yeah. So anyway, I was back at school. And one of those days, it was in those periods where everything is edgy, we decided, me and a couple of Lebanese friends, to like run away from school. And so we picked the worst day. We got out of school. We were able to manage and get out of school. And as soon as we hit the street, there was like a mob of people coming toward the school, because back then I was at a French school. And so there was a mob of people with machetes and knives and everything running toward the French school. So the only thing we could do is run back at school. And so what happened is the aftermath after 2 days, when everything was happening, obviously the teacher would gather the student and everything, and they did the head counts and everything, and we were missing. So we ended up having a detention for a week because we ran out of school and we got caught. So,
what a fucking wild story. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it's like a movie. You see the mob coming at you and then you run away. But it's just that the fact that the only time I ran away of school happens to be the worst period.
The worst time ever, because it happened to coincide with a fucking coup d'etat. Jesus Christ, man. Dude, alhamdulillah salimi. Dude, it was great talking to you, man. Say hi, give our best to your mother-in-law. Tell her we love her. And
just one last parenthesis.
Yeah.
Before I actually got through the call.
Yeah.
before, at your monologue, I said to my wife, okay, look, when he's going to put it on YouTube, I want you to listen to this, because this was exactly what we were discussing. Now I'm kind of thinking about
the beautiful thing is, you should just tell her that the monologue was great. The rest of the show, don't waste your time with it. It's just Nemr's just on fire when he's alone. He's the greatest man ever. That way you make me look good. You look good. Everybody's a winner. You know what I'm saying? So I'd say go with that. All right?
That's a nice strategy.
Take care, my man. Thanks so much for calling.
Thanks, Nemr.
Bye-bye. Let's take a couple more callers. Give me a call. The number's up on the screen right now. Hit me up on the WhatsApp. And let's get you this. This call's coming in from Belarus. We got Anthony with us. Anthony, how's it going, man?
What up, G?
How you doing, G?
I'm cool.
I did not expect somebody to call in from Belarus and open with "What up, G." I'll be very honest with you.
Yep.
That was an episode.
I have a lot of stories that you won't expect. For example,
let's hear your story right now. Your first story about school. Give us your best one. What is the best story you have of something that you did that was very stupid that got you in trouble at school? And which school, where? Give us the details.
Okay, so school is in Lebanon, Hiroshima.
Mm-hmm.
It's a National Protestant College. Anyway, the point is the school is very strict, or at least it was that way.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened? Okay, some background information. We have two principals, a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
The man has more significance as a principal than the woman. It's nothing sexist, but it's just how it works. Okay, so it just happened to be that way. So I got in some trouble with a teacher, and I ended up in the woman's office. I yelled at her. She got up and she slapped me. So I slapped her back. It was freaking hard.
What?
I did. Yeah,
unacceptable. Okay.
It was like the neck and face. It was a big slap. It was pretty decent.
You got your ass kicked, didn't you? I know where this is going. Okay.
No. Listen, you have to hear me out here.
Okay.
So then I got sent out, and I have to stay the whole day in the playground waiting for my parents to come, to come take me. And then my parents got there, both my mom and my dad. When they found out what the whole story was, I did not expect this, but both of them, they were on my side. So they ended up going to the male principal's office, and my dad ended up slapping that guy. So I got a 5-day suspension.
So your dad was basically your father was like, I can't hit a woman, unlike you.
Yeah.
You animal.
Yep.
Your dad showed you how to. Your dad was like, this is how a man acts. So he went to the male principal, slapped him across the face.
All women talk about is equality. So why not?
No, that's bullshit, man. Equality doesn't mean beating. Not at all. I'm not going to accept that one. That's for sure. But still,
I mean, it wasn't beating. It was self-defense.
It's not self-defense. She slapped you. She wasn't killing you. What are you? Come on. You know you're on shaky ground here. I'm not saying, look, a woman definitely can't slap a dude, but she's the principal. And back in that day, you get your ass slapped by a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. If they're a teacher, they had full authority. And yeah, definitely.
I mean, it was 4 or 5 years ago. So.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, still. This is Lebanon, dude. It's the wild, wild west of parenting. You get your ass slapped. That's how it works. That's not the ass.
Actually, nothing. Okay, so I had
because that would be a disaster. But wait, let me just point something out here. I have a similar story. I got hit as a kid when I was growing up in school. They used to slap the kids around, and one after the other, the parents would go up to the school and tell them, if you ever lay another hand on my kid, I will fucking murder you. And I
remember that bit.
Yes, this is a true story. I was the last kid that was not hit, that was not told, you can't hit this kid. So they would hit me to show as an example for the rest of the class. So if I did something bad, they'd come in, make me stand up, slap me across the face to spark fear in the hearts of the other students. So the thing is, most times it was me who was making the trouble anyways. So I keep telling my mom keeps telling my dad, you got to go up and tell them they can't hit your son. So one day my mom bugs my dad so much that my dad comes up to the school, and I'm like, my dad's about to destroy these motherfuckers. My dad's going to come in and tell all of these teachers and the principal, you do not touch my boy. You do not do shit. And I'm sitting there bragging about how my dad is giving them a crazy time. An hour passes, 2 hours, recess. I'm like, dude, my dad's still in the office with the principal, like, what's going on? Finally, towards the end of the day, I got a call into my principal's office. I walk in, it's my principal, the headmaster, and the owner of the school with a bunch of teachers hanging around with my dad, drinking coffee, cracking jokes, and they're laughing. My dad's way funnier than I am, and he's telling jokes, and everybody's loving my dad, and they're having a great time. And I walk in, I'm like, this isn't what I expected. I expected my dad to be like owning this and telling them about my son you can't touch him. And here he is, he's buddy with all of them. And then my dad puts down his coffee and he looks at me in front of pretty much the entire staff. And he goes, Nemr, I talked to your teachers, I talked to your principal, and you're standing there and I'm here and they're all here right now. And I want you to look at me. He goes, do you know what a picture is? He says this in Arabic, so I'm translating. He goes, do you know what a picture is? He goes, you are a picture in class. If you are anything but a fucking picture, just a frame of just stillness and silence, if they don't beat you, I am going to come here to school and beat you and them. I am telling them that you will be beaten if you, and he gave them the green light. I was like, Jesus Christ, Dad. Like, he came up, he didn't tell him not to beat me. He came up and he was like, good job. Let me give you some tips. You want to strike him he's tall. He's a tall guy. So you gotta hit him from the jaw up right here. You can knock him out. So that's my experience. So you definitely had you had a more privileged upbringing. Let me tell you that. You should be happy. Your father fought for you.
I'm an only child, so my parents...
And you're French educated, right?
I'm not. I'm English.
But you said it was a French school.
No. I said it's... No, I never said that.
Oh, you never said...
National Protective College.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in a French educated school. Okay, so you're in one of those... No. It's true. In the American system schools, the discipline is way less than in the French system schools. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's very true. In French system schools, they want to make sure that they beat the gay into you. Dude, thanks so much. Thanks so much for calling, man. You have a great day, all right?
Thank you.
Take care, brother. Bye-bye. That was so funny. And once again, when I say gay, I don't mean homosexual. Honestly speaking, who was the comedian who said this? I think his name was Greg Giraldo. He said being gay is like the new powerhouse because he's like, these gay people, like in 20, 30 years, they're so ripped and built. He's like, 30 years from now, people are going to be like, did you see that linebacker on the football team? He's built like a gay man, which is hilarious. So definitely when I say gay, I don't mean homosexual. I mean French. Everybody who's familiar with my comedy knows what that means. Everybody who isn't, familiarize yourselves. We have a call from somebody for the first time. Hello, who am I talking to?
Hello.
Yes, hi, who's this?
Hi, it's Griffin from your chat.
It's who? From who?
From your chat on Twitch.
Oh, from the chat.
I'm really sorry, man. I have a problem with my phone. I'm fixing it.
No worries. What's your name?
Jalal.
Jalal, how's it going, man? Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Lebanon.
From Lebanon. Welcome to the show, Jalal.
Yeah, I'm also Lebanon.
Fantastic. Let me just say something. Let me just say something. I was catfished by Jalal. Okay, not that I'm looking for anything, obviously not. But I would like to point out to you guys all that Jalal is clearly a man. Am I correct in supposing that you're a man, Jalal?
Yes, 100%.
100%. Let me show everybody Jalal's display picture on WhatsApp. Did you draw this, Jalal?
No, bro, but it represents a lot to me.
What does it represent? Before I make jokes, because I'm worried that this is something special to you. So what is this?
No, you can make jokes. It's no problem. But it's like when you draw like a messed up things and it presents life and whatever.
So you didn't put this picture because it's a hot girl?
No, I never intended to put this picture because of it.
Of course, it's because it meant something to you. Okay, fine, sure. We're going to go with that bullshit. All right, Jalal, what's a stupid thing you did I love that. I'm going to put a picture, if my girlfriend's still watching, I'm going to put a picture of a girl with a really fat ass on my display pic from now on. And she's like, why do you have a girl who's half naked with a fat ass? I'll be like, it represents a lot to me. The ass is the foundation of all family units in the world. And as a family, you can only build a familial unit on a strong foundation, and there is no stronger foundation than the ass because it is the gluteus maximus at the end of the day. All right, so tell me, what is something stupid you did in school that got you in trouble?
So that was like 3 years ago. I was in grade 9.
Okay.
And my principal came up to me and told me to give him my email for him to send me my grades for some stupid reasons that I don't know. So I didn't want him to get my email. I just created an email. I literally called it bakhara.com@gmail.com.
Okay.
So I gave him the email. So he didn't look at it at first, but he then called me and told me to meet him. So, okay, I did it. So he told me, why is bakhara.com and why did you give me this? Is this a joke to you? I told him no. So he told me to create another one. So I created the exact same name, but I added an A. It's like bakhara.com.
So wait, Bakhara as in cow, yani?
Yes, cow. Okay. I was like 90 kilos. So I created this email and sent it to him. He's like, is this a joke to you? And he suspended me for like 3 days. I don't know why.
That is a very stupid reason to get in trouble. This is by far the most on the point. This is the most on the point phone call that we've received today for this question. That is a very stupid reason to get in trouble in school. Congratulations. You nailed it today, man. You nailed it. Dude,
actually,
I'm proud of you.
Bigger trouble because of this. So we actually have a water problem here in Lebanon. Of course, you know about that. A man was like delivering water with a container or whatever it is on a pickup. Or I told him if I can't pay him for like a container, I don't know how many gallons it can handle or something, and we can go up to the school, break the windows, and put the hose through the windows and just pour the water in. And he's like, okay, cool. He was like fucking 18 years old. And what do you expect? Okay, so I paid him like 25,000 Lebanese lira, and we were going.
Wait. Just so that people know, because I think I want to make sure people understand. We are hearing a story of a man who hired a water truck. We call them citern in Lebanon, that have these massive pumps that can pump water for an entire building. You gave him $25 so that you could go and pump water into your school through the window. Am I understanding this correctly?
Exactly.
Okay, please proceed.
100%.
Please proceed.
So actually, we went there, and before I arrived, I told him he can stand outside. He can give me the hose. I can go inside, break the window, and just put it in. He's like, okay. So my father was going back home from a funeral. He has to pass beside the school.
Okay.
And he saw me there. Okay. And he saw me breaking the fucking window to put in the hose. And I didn't know what to do, man. Just
did he beat your ass?
That's fucked up shit. Of course. What do you think?
Of course.
I couldn't move my arm for like 3 days.
Dude, these two stories were wild, man. Look, thanks a lot for calling. Did the guy get his $25?
Yes, of course.
Of course, you're a good man. You're a good man, dude. Jalal, thank you so much for calling, man. Make sure you send me your name and where you live on the text. And welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was fucking hilarious. I can tell you some stories. I can tell you a story about Mortanius. But why would I tell you the story about Mortanius when I could actually bring Mortanius onto the phone? Because I need you guys to hear this story from I'm writing Mortanius like an idiot. I have him as George Sama on my phone. Let me tell you this story. I'm going to have Mortanius tell you this story because really, I should not say this story. This is a great story. George, just so you know, me and him, Mortanius, went to school together. So there is many, many legendary stories that we've had together. But this one is something George did in his... I think he's going to laugh when I remind him what it was.
Hey, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mortanius on the line. George, how's it going, brother?
All right. How's it going?
I'm doing very good. I would like you to tell everyone the story of when you guys drew the on the board the button that you would press. Do you remember this? The teacher would press it, that it was like the Zamur. Was that you?
Yes.
Okay, so tell everyone this. It's so stupid. Tell them what you guys did, because this is fucking genius.
All right, I hope I remember it correctly.
Okay.
My friends and I decided to draw a button, and you remember
on the chalkboard. So we had huge chalkboards, obviously every classroom, and George and his friends decide to chalk in with chalk just a circle and fill it up, and this is now a button, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we decided to, all of us, play along.
Okay.
And we had the button on the board. And teacher walks in. Poor guy, man. We pranked him so much. It was our history teacher. We hated history so much.
Yeah.
And,
wait, I'm going to stop you for a quick second. Raul Abihanna and everybody on, I'm not hanging up on anyone. You guys have to understand, when you call the WhatsApp number, it automatically disconnects some calls and some calls get through. I don't touch the thing. I just answer whoever gets through. So I don't want anyone to think I'm hanging up on them. Trust me, George can vouch for this. We've tested this. We're using this WhatsApp version because one call gets through and it starts closing all the other ones. That's why it says he's on another call. Okay, sorry, George, go ahead.
So we all decided.
Okay.
Press the button and someone would play a sound.
Okay.
And I think it was just a beep, you know?
How are you playing it? You had like a recorder or something, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The same teacher we pranked him so many times. Remember when we pranked him with
the vegetable guy?
Yalla batata, yalla basal outside
the window. Okay, wait. Tell this story and then we'll tell the other one. But yeah, okay. So this guy was your Arabic teacher, right? History teacher. That's right. Okay, so every time somebody
our Arabic teacher was sharp. He would not fall.
Yeah, he would not fall for that shit. Our history teacher was an idiot too. So you had the chalk. Every time somebody would push the drawn button on the board, you would play a sound.
Yeah, and it was just like the teacher would be talking, and someone would just walk up and press the button on the chalkboard, and someone would play that beep. And the teacher started looking like, what the fuck is going on? And so we're like, try it, man. And he goes up on the chalkboard and he's like, you guys are idiots. I'm going to erase this. And they're like, no, you can't. We're like, we can't, you can't erase this. Try it. Just try it before you erase it. And he goes up to the chalkboard and he presses the button and we go, beep. And he looks at us. He's like, he presses it again, beep. And he's like, no way. You're like, you guys are playing a prank on me. Show me. Where are you playing that sound from? And we're like, look. And everybody shows their hands. They're empty. And the teacher's like looking at us. And then he presses the button and goes, beep. And he's like, okay, I'm erasing this. And he freaked out, erased the button.
He became afraid. My sister's in the comment section, Maria Abu Nassar. She's like, oh my God, Mr. J. Jamil Farah. Exactly. Haram. We pranked him so bad.
Oh, Jamil Farah.
Jamil Farah, dude. Okay, so you prank this teacher, you drive him crazy with this, and then do this story about how every time, so you guys, I'm going to tell this story, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Because I've actually told this story in my stand-up. But
yes,
basically you guys recorded with a tape recorder. So for those who don't know, in Lebanon, through the villages, gas and vegetables, they're sold on the back of a truck. And then you go through the villages and everything, and a guy will have a megaphone, and he's speaking through the megaphone, advertising his goods, right? Think of like an ice cream truck, but made for war, okay? That's how I would explain it. They're going through the villages, and he'll say stuff like potatoes, tomatoes, cucumbers, 1,000 Lebanese pounds for a kilo, potatoes, tomatoes, but in Arabic, so it'll be like, yalla batata, yalla khiyar, yalla banadura, yalla. And very annoying. They keep repeating it. So it'll sound something like this. It'll be like, yalla batata, yalla khiyar, yalla batata, batata khiyar, batata, alf lira, batata khiyar, banadura, banadura khiyar, batata khiyar, yalla banadura, khiyar, batata. Over and over. So you, George, you guys took a tape recorder and rode around with one of these people and recorded a good 60 minutes, or maybe 90 minutes on LP. You put the cassette tape in LP mode, so that it's like 90 minutes of and every time the teacher would come to the class, you guys would pull out that tape recorder, put it outside the window, and press play every single time he had a class. And then he went I know this story because we were the class next to yours. And one day, this teacher, like that movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer, where they walk outside and they're like, are you happy now? Like they're looking and they're screaming in the world, can you see me or whatever? We just hear out of nowhere, he's like, every time on my hour. He's out in the streets screaming at a truck that doesn't exist. That every time
he walks up to the window and starts yelling.
He starts yelling out of the window, stop it! And he screams, and then he goes quiet, and then you hear, yalla batata, yalla khiyar, yalla banatura, yalla khiyar. Oh my God, I remember we walked out of class, we were high-fiving, everybody knew what the fuck was going on. Dude, we had the best pranks in school. Man, we were on a whole different level, man. Jesus Christ. As I'm sure everybody can imagine, I went on to be a comedian. George is a comedian in the comment section. We're all insane. We used to have the best time. Dude, that was the funniest shit in the goddamn world.
We did so much crazy shit.
I feel bad
like
for our teachers.
Tossing an invisible marble across the class.
Yeah.
And the teacher would look at us like, what's
wrong with you
tossing around?
Do you know what I remember what we used to do to drive Jamil Farah? You know when they would tell one student, you read read out loud, and we all read along. So we would read and skip paragraphs. So I'd like read and skip to the next page, and everybody would be looking at me because we're all in on it. We'd skip the pages together. And he'd be like, where? And then we'd jump like 3-4 pages. And then he'd be like, did you skip a paragraph? And he'd look at the class and everybody's like, no, and he'd be like, you read. He'd point at somebody else. Where are we? And the person would be like, we're right here. We used to drive him crazy with shit like that. And the way we used to cheat was the funniest. We used to, in a test, if I wanted an answer like number 3, it's a multiple choice question, I would say out loud in the test room, I'd be like, man, does anybody have the answer for number 3? Like as if I'm joking at the teacher, and be like, Nemr, stop that. And then somebody be like, it's C. And then we'd be doing
Can't stop the whole class. Can't kick them all out.
Kick us all out. And I remember when we used to compete over who would finish their exam the fastest in history and geography. And we used to compete and make bets. So in the final exam, I finished my final exam in 3 minutes. And I finished and I slammed it on the table. And the teacher, Jamil Farah, walks up to the table, grabs my test, and he goes, he's like, what the fuck's the bet on this time? Fries and Coke? And he slams it on the table. And I'm like, no, it's 5,000 Lebanese pounds. And he was going to slap me across the fucking face.
I remember.
And George, you were one of the few people that was there when the happiest day of my life. Happiest day. I've never been happier. Never. Never, except when I met my girlfriend, Vanessa Khattar. I've never been happier in my life than the time when on the last day of school, and you were there, you remember, when I was weeping. Because school for me was the worst experience of my life. I despise school. I despise it more than people understand. I don't go back to my school. Like, you know how people go and visit? I don't do that shit. I get
neither, bro.
disgusted just being close to that fucking prison. On the last day of school when it was done and I knew I never had to go back, I put all my books into a pile and lit them on fire. And started weeping. My parents thought I had a nervous breakdown. I was and laughing at the same time. I was so overjoyed with emotion and just like, just screaming at the heavens like, and just the fire. And they're like, what the fuck? Then I went to college and I was like, not again. People who go back, people who are like, I graduated. And I'm going to go back and get a master's and then a PhD. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Who gets out of prison and is like, you know what I'm going to do now? What's that? Go back.
Go back.
It's not. I shouldn't say that to you. You have like 9 degrees, but
exactly.
Yeah, that's why you were quiet. That's why George is like, this is awkward.
I'm waiting for you to remember.
No, I know, but you never wanted to. You just did what you had to do to get ahead. But I mean, I'm talking about people who voluntarily are like, I just finished my university degree and I think I'm going to go back to get another one. It's like, shut the fuck up. George,
I hated every minute of getting each degree, but
dude, Jesus Christ, unbelievable. My man George, I'm taking a look. I have an Amazon package coming to your house. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for.
I have a surprise coming for George, and it's still okay. That's another package. So it is now. The driver has to make a few more deliveries on the way to your address. He's very close. You're like 10 stops away, brother.
So
I'll
be waiting.
Just so you know, this is America now. We get where our packages coming through. All right. Anyways, brother, great having you on the phone. Always. I'll talk to you afterwards.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, that's all the time we have for the show today. We should play some music, end the show, and shout you guys all out. For those of you who are new with us here today, or who haven't gone this far in the show with us, this was a very entertaining show. This is the part of the show where we say goodbye, but we do it the very funny podcast way with some music so that you guys can all feel that you're actually doing something that isn't run by a clown, but somebody who actually has a bit of talent. And for today's song, of course, all the music here is created by us. By the way, starting very soon, I would like to say tomorrow, but I'm not 100% sure I can stick to that. But starting tomorrow, hopefully, I will start making the music that we're going to jam out to before the podcast. I'm going to do streams that are going to be unannounced. I'm just going to go live on Twitch and only Twitch. And I think so. Maybe YouTube and Facebook. We'll see. I'm going to go live and jam out, make some music, and then we incorporate it into everything. So today's beat is a beat I made with my sister Maria. She was with me once, and we're gonna jam out to this beat. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go out to this one. Let's see which scale it comes out to. Ooh! Switch to the guitar cam. Bring it in. Oh, I got rid of the chat by accident. My bad. Let's bring it back in as we jam out to this thing right here. Hold on. I'm going to bring the chat in, and then we're going to jam out to it. There we go. Yes. You guys ready? I found the scale. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Very Funny Podcast. A thank you to our guest, Maz Jobrani. For joining us today. Ooh, it's going to sound even better now. Ooh, baby. Guys, take care of yourselves. You know what I'm going to say, right? Take care and always wear underwear, baby. I love you guys so much, you have no idea. Keanu Reeves, you take care and always wear underwear. Shadi Ghazal, take care and always wear underwear. Carla Nakad, take care and always wear underwear. Peter Howard Lees, take care and always always wear underwear. Maria Abu Nassar, take care and always wear underwear. Go to her Instagram page. My sister is posting fire pictures. She's a fashion photographer. Head to Instagram at Suddenly Maria. Woo! Khalil Atiyeh. Emma Khairallah, good night. This was a good time, man. We had a good time. Everybody, you take care and always wear underwear, you hear me? I'll see you guys on Thursday, none other than Godfrey. Nemr out. Woo! Love you all.